Hola, ¿cómo están? AMD about to react to this video. This is top 10 crazy rules WWE superstars are forced to follow. Like what I recently found out that they gotta pay for their own travel, and that is trifling. Like WWE not paying for y'all plane tickets, like that is crazy and disrespectful. Y'all have to pay for your own flight to get from this city to that city. Like trifling. Get it together, Vince. But let's see what 10 crazy rules that they gotta follow. Let's watch.
Number 10, briefcase at the hip. Okay, so winning a WWE title can be a big deal, bringing with it an increased visibility on the roster and potentially a bigger pay increase. But do superstars have to wear those big gaudy belts everywhere they go? Well, not exactly, but winners of the Money in the Bank briefcase are expected to travel with their prize, which enables them to cash in for a WWE title opportunity, and that can prove to be one giant pain in the ass. Getting from town to town is a challenge in itself, never mind having to remember to pack an extra prop along the way. Losing the briefcase simply is not an option. Number 9, fringe benefits. We just mentioned the potential pay increases that come with being a WWE champion. However, there are other aspects to being a money player in the company that don't exactly, well, bring in extra money. Although contracts do vary from wrestler to wrestler, promotional appearances such as those on late-night talk shows are sometimes written into the performers' contracts as part of their job in promoting the brand. As such, these appearances aren't paid extras for them, other than having their hotel and accommodations comped, and is instead just another part of the job for Vince McMahon's sweaty, travelling circus. Number 8, get your own wheels. Today, most professional wrestlers aren't considered employees under the law, but rather independent contractors, and as such aren't covered for basic employee rights such as healthcare. Transportation is also not usually provided for the wrestlers to get from town to town, with all but the biggest main eventers like John Cena being required to rent their own cars and paying for these services out of the pocket. It's tough getting from town to town on an overnight drive, and the fact that all of the expenses are still coming out of the performers' pockets is just crazy to us. Number 7, heels and baby faces don't mix. Okay, so the impact of this unwritten rule has certainly been lessened over the years since the death of kayfabe, the code of silence that protected the hidden truths and inner workings of professional wrestling. Still, one need only take a glance at the WWE Network series Ride Along to see that heels and babyfaces still don't tend to travel together all that often. In the older days, this rule was meant to protect the good guy versus bad guy aesthetic of the business, but even today we see many of the same heel and face factions traveling together on the road, keeping at least a little bit of that old school kayfabe memory intact. Number 6, no ad-libbing in promos. The art of the pro wrestling promo is no longer the wide-open Wild West country it used to be back in the day. Performers were largely trusted with coming up with their own spiel to say on the mic before a match, with little, if any, editing done in the process. Superstars such as The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin made careers out of ad-libbed promos, but this is a huge no-no in the modern era. Instead, most wrestlers have their promos written ahead of time by WWE's creative team and are expected to deliver them line by line in front of the camera. Some superstars are allowed to offer their own input, but this sadly isn't used nearly as much as it was with their predecessors. Number 5, stick to the product. This next rule just sort of goes without saying. Today's wrestling climate is beginning to get more competitive than it has in years, with promotions such as AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling offering intriguing alternatives for the monopoly McMahon had previously enjoyed. As a result, WWE employees are expected not to visit events held by direct competition, although co-branding with collaborative companies such as Evolve Pro Wrestling seems to be okay. Essentially, it just wouldn't look good for a high-profile superstar to give their stamp of approval to another promotion. In the world of WWE, it's best to pretend these other companies don't exist, rather than to validate them via any attendance, even if it's just for surveillance purposes.
That's ridiculous.
Number 4, stay in your lane when you change. There has always been a sort of hierarchy when it comes to the WWE rosters, with many jobbers never rising above the lowest ranks of the totem pole, while other superstars just seemed destined to rocket up the card to main event status. The backstage locker room is a reflection of this hierarchy, with many of the lower level superstars sharing changing space in separate quarters, away from the private areas for big money superstars such as John Cena or The Undertaker. Furthermore, there have been stories of superstars such as that of The Miz, who was forced to find somewhere else to change early in his career after reportedly annoying Chris Benoit by eating chicken near Chris's gym bag. You can't make this stuff up. Number 3, words are important. This next rule is another that has been slightly softened in recent years as the public's appreciation of professional wrestling versus sports entertainment seems to shift further towards the former. Still, just a cursory glance at WWE's major network programming offers a clean glimpse into the world Vince McMahon is determined to promote, with very specific word choices. For starters, pronouns are a no-go, with WWE commentators going out of their way to use performers' proper names at all times. Talents are referred to as superstars far more often than wrestlers. Championships are substituted for title, while generally any sort of insider terminology gets nixed right from the get-go. Less said about that whole performance fighter thing, the better. Number 2, dress for success. The age of Ric Flair's styling and profiling fancy dress may seem like a gimmick unique to the Nature Boy, but WWE superstars are actually expected to follow a business casual dress code, even on the road. Male performers are expected to wear suits during public appearances, but are allowed to wear athletic gear when traveling to the next town, or at the airport. The company's sponsorship deal with Tap Out makes this latter detail a bit easier for talent who may want to feel at least a little comfortable while on the road. But the WWE dress code is definitely designed to retain the company's prestigious brand reputation at all costs. Number 1, no sneezing. We could have filled our list with all of the reported quirks and idiosyncrasies of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, but we've narrowed it down to just one head-scratching peculiarity: sneezing. Yes, sneezing.
I can't control that.
That involuntary act that we all do, sometimes uncontrollably, at any given moment. Therein lies the key word, however: control. McMahon is a notoriously hands-on creator who demands total control at all times. Therefore, rumours have surfaced that the industry icon simply hates sneezing to the point where employees have decided to hold them in if at all possible. Vince reportedly sees it as a sign of weakness, especially if it's himself who happens to be caught in a sneezing fit. What a weird world.
Bye, Vince. Now I know where CM Punk was coming from. I already know, because this is too much. I'll be like, I quit. I can't do this no more. Fuck y'all. I don't want to wrestle. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Like, what? This is too much. Too much. And it makes it even worse that certain superstars, they get more privileges than the rest of the wrestlers. Like, I can definitely see how that will cause, like, animosity between the wrestlers. If you got fucking John Cena being escorted, you know, in a limo somewhere and y'all had to, you know, drive here yourself, or he getting, you know, first class tickets and you gotta, you know, be on coach somewhere because you paying out of pocket. Like, that's just trifling. I don't agree with this at all. But, you know, Vince, he do his thing how he do his thing, I guess. Let me know what y'all think, though. Let me know what other videos you want me to react to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!